What's up, people at YouTube? It's Dylan here down at GrizzleyGTV. So today is the very ever first episode of GrizzleyGTV. So stay tuned, we're going to be getting down to some awesome stuff. And first off, I'm going to give you a little summary of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to get into why I'm doing this, what we're all about at GrizzleyGTV, and what I was up to on my last rotation home. And then we're going to get to some shoutouts and some hollas. So why I'm doing this, I'll have to give you a little background information and history. Back in the day when I was like 9 or 10, my grandpa took me down into his brew dungeon and I was like, oh man, this is so sweet. But it seemed really hard and complex because he had like all this equipment, like all these things that he had to do to it. Lots of adjuncts that he was putting in his wine. He did wine and beer, but that's why it seemed more complicated than it is, because he was doing wine, so I thought they were kind of similar. And then later on in life, when I was like 18 or 19, my dad told me about his brewing beer in his like university dorm closet at the U of A, and like hooch and all that kind of stuff, right? So I figured out finally that it's in me to brew, and I decided to give it a try. And a few people were kind of instrumental into pushing me towards it. One of my buddies back home started brewing wine, and I thought this is really cool. Or I'm brewing wine and beer, and I thought it was really cool because he was doing it for his wedding to like have at the bachelor parties and all that kind of stuff, right? And it seemed really easy. And then so I got into researching some stuff on YouTube, and first guy that pops up is Craig, and of course it's Craig because Craig is just the man. So Craig was really instrumental because he dumbed it down enough for me and made it seem like it would be easy enough and I'd be successful at attempting this. So and he has a great time with it, so I decided to give it a go. And the other reason is I work away from home for months at a time in the oil patch, so when I'm home, all my buddies and bros and stuff like that, they all have their regular 9 to 5 jobs, and I'm like stuck at home doing nothing, and there's only so many days you can go out fishing by yourself and getting pissed drunk at noon and all that kind of stuff. So I decided I needed a hobby, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna get into this shit too. So here we are. So what we're all about at GrizzleyGTV, we're going to get into some fishing, some fly fishing, some how-to videos. I've already had a couple people show some interest in wanting to see some how-to fly fishing videos. One of the girls at Homebrew Series on YouTube, you should subscribe to them. That's who was talking to me about it. I guess she is a little bit nervous about getting embarrassed in front of her husband and her in-laws, but it's gonna be hard, but we'll do it. I'm gonna get into some products and some product reviews. We'll talk about trout, bass, salmon, steelhead. If you guys got questions or tips, by all means, hit me back on it, and we'll talk about that stuff too. Give you some of my secret tips. Who knows, maybe I'll get some of my bros down here and we'll do an interview when I'm back at home in the grizzly den. But bear in mind, they are fishermen, so they are bullshitters. So the fish is going to be this big, and then it's going to be this big. I'm also going to get into some drinking. I'm loving the malt liquor vids, the shotguns, the shots, and we'll do some mixology. I'll show you some of my guys' my favorite cocktails and highballs and stuff like that I like to mix up and serve at some house parties or when I have company over. We'll do some whiskey reviews. I'm a huge bourbon fan. I spent a bit of time living in Louisiana and I drank bourbon before. I really liked it, even more so than rye, and which is odd because I'm a Canadian, so everybody up here drinks rye and ginger. I guess it worked out well because nobody will drink my liquor when I go to a party. But yeah, I'll get into some reviews, maybe get some people jumping on with me on that, and see what you guys think. So yeah, I got into drinking bourbon a lot down in Louisiana. They call it bourbon and branch down there. We'll get into some cooking. I love cooking. I cook like a champ. I'll show you my favorite cookbook and we'll bust into it. If you want to look it up in the meantime and check it out, it's called Eat Like a Man. It's from Esquire magazine. We'll do some book reviews because at work I spend a lot of time reading books. So maybe I'll share with you guys some of that stuff and you can check them out and kick back to me on that. Next big topic, other than fishing, this is going to be the mother. Homebrewing and homebrewing stuff. When I get into that, I'm going to stick mainly with homebrew Davids and stuff. I'm not going to get too much into the educational tutorial side because I feel I'm still too green at this to be really imparting any wisdom to people. But I'm all for taking advice and listening to what other people have to say. So hit me back, tell me what I'm doing wrong and all that kind of stuff. Beer mail, I'm psyched on this. I'm going to be sending out some awesome swag, so keep watching, and I'm going to be watching you to see who gets it and what they got to say about it. And Homebrew Wednesdays, I'm jumping on that bandwagon like a bastard. It's going to be awesome. I'm loving everything I'm seeing out there. I'm getting a little bit jealous. Immoladius, I wish I had a brew store like that where I live, but like Craig says, it just ain't so. So that's the brew section of the show. Now we're going to come to what I've done so far and what I was up to on my last days home back in BC. I brewed up, first of all, I had this go big or go home mentality because I'd seen so many failures on YouTube and like bottles exploding, so I was like, oh my god, like if this happens I'm just gonna shit a brick. So I said go big or go home, and I did a whole bunch of stuff and I was like, one of these bastards has to turn out. So I went with Cooper's because Craig, who I watched a lot of in the beginning first, always seemed to have Cooper's, and I was like, if this guy's brewing up this much stuff and it's always this brand, it's gotta be good, right? And I know some of you people out there are kind of like nose in the air and like, nah, you brew out of a tin can. Well, whatever, man. It's all good, buddy. It's beer. It tastes amazing, and it's just something magical about when you taste your very first home brew, and it's like carbonated to perfection, glory, and sweet maltiness, and it's just like, so good. So I went with Cooper's. I did an IPA, I did a draft, a Pilsner, and some of my girlfriend's friends oops, were asking me if I would get into wine, and I said no because it takes too long and I only have so much time at home and it would not be ready and things could go wrong. So I found hard cider and I decided to get into hard cider, and I brewed some of that for them. And I did apple guava sparkling, and I did an apple peach also carbonated. So when I get home, I'm going to do some reviews of that, show you guys what I did in my little brew chamber, and you can give me some feedback on that stuff. And I'm also really amped because I ordered 3 kits from a store online in Ontario, and I think they're going to be wicked, but I'll tell you about them in upcoming videos. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Last but not least, the more controversial section on my page, or my channel, at GTV, is the pipes, tobacco reviews, and cigars. I recently quit smoking. I had a really big battle with it. Tried quitting multiple times for a couple of years, and then finally decided to go with Champex. And I don't want to be an advocate for smoking and smoking tobacco products, but I'm still drawn to the pipe side because I find it really relaxing when I'm fishing or out on the boat, and it's just something I enjoy every once in a while, you know. So one of those things, and we'll get into that a little bit once in a while. Shoutouts and hollas. So Craig at CraigTube, you rock, buddy. Others like Jay Glitch 777, you're hilarious, buddy. Jakob at JakobTube, PI Homebrewer, Dorf68, Imo or Imoladius, you're awesome, buddy. I'm gonna get into that mini keg business because it looks pretty killer. Last but not least, these two chicks at the Homebrewer series or Homebrewing series, Ali and Abby. Holla Walla. And in the pipe section, we got Burlyman 40, my very first ever sub. Holla holla, man, you're awesome. I'm making a special trip for you down to Victoria, my province's capital, and then I might go to Vancouver and see somebody and pick some stuff up at City Cigar. They got some awesome stuff. I'll be mailing that directly. And last but not least, Pipe Friend CH and the Carolinas. Buddy, you're awesome. I love the informative videos and the articles that you post up. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep watching, and hope to talk to everybody soon. Stay tuned. We got some great episodes coming up when I get home, so welcome to the GrizzleyGTV.